Welcome into Day 7 of our NCAA College World Series coverage. I'm your host, Maddie Glab, and I'm joined by Michael Lanana and Teddy Cahill of Baseball America. Guys, thanks for joining us today. We have two games on deck today, the semifinals, and we had one game last night. So before we talk about the games today, let's wrap up last night's game. Texas Tech and Florida, an elimination game. Florida won that game 9-6, 12 hits from both teams. Texas Tech didn't score until the 7th inning. They fought back, but it wasn't enough. What was working for Florida last night?
I think Jack Leftwich started the game really well on the mound for Florida, and he settled into the game. Texas Tech had some chances early, weren't able to get runs in, and that allowed Leftwich, who's just a freshman, to really settle in. And then Florida's offense is really tough to contain, and I think we saw that as they put up 9 runs. Anytime Texas Tech scored, they seemed to have an answer. But the start Leftwich gave them, and then as the offense got going, J.J. Schwartz hit his first career home run here. I think that was just a solid all-around effort from the Gators.
Yeah, I mean, what I was most impressed with was just the response that we saw from the Gators. Every time it seemed like the Red Raiders was wrestling control back of the game, they just came right back and they scored again. They punched right back, and that's what you need in a situation like this. You need to not be rattled. We've seen it, all the teams that have been most successful here. Oregon State the other night in that Carolina game, they fought back every time UNC scored. So that's what I was impressed with most with Florida last night for sure.
We saw 6 pitchers from Florida last night. What did you think about the management of the pitching staff and how that affects today's game?
Well, I know that what Leftwich gave them in 6 1/3, that was maybe a little more than they would have hoped for. I think Sully said they were hoping for 5 or 6 out of Leftwich. And, then they're trying to massage their bullpen a little bit. They didn't want to go to closer Michael Byrne. Ultimately, they did for a few outs. And, it'll be interesting to see eventually, with the possibility of them playing 3 days in a row, he's not going to be available at some point. And whether that's tonight or if there were a Saturday, at some point someone else is going to have to step up. And last night they weren't able to find that other guy in the bullpen, and they had to go back to their All-American. So that's something to watch going forward, is who can help them at the back end of games close them out.
We saw Texas Tech get eliminated from this tournament last night. They have been to the College World Series 3 times of the last 5 years. What did you see out of this team this season? Do you think they're going to be back in the World Series again soon?
I wouldn't bet against them. I mean, we've seen the job that Tim Tadlock has done over these last few years, 3 College World Series trips in these last 5 years. And there's just something about that Lubbock air. They just hit the ball so well down there. You look at their lineup up and down, just double-digit home runs everywhere. And they're going to bring back Josh Young, who's a phenomenal hitter for them. And we saw just this year how potent he could be. Had a big hit last night for them. I think they're going to be in good shape. I know Tim Tadlock last night after the game was excited about the talent that they're bringing in next year. So you infuse that talent with the guys that they're bringing back. I think the Red Raiders are going to be in good shape again next year for sure.
Yeah, I really like what they have coming back. I mean, Mike mentioned Josh Young, and he's a huge piece of it. I mean, that's a guy that can be a top 10 pick next year. And, there's a lot of talent. They've recruited very well. And it was a pretty young team in some respects. Caleb Killian last night was just a sophomore. Josh Young just a sophomore. So they've got some pieces of the puzzle that they could. Gabe Holt, their freshman leadoff hitter. I mean, they have some of these pieces that are going to come back and help them be successful for years to come still.
Yesterday, Mississippi State had an off day, so the team went to the Omaha Zoo. We followed a couple guys around through their tour of the zoo. One thing we did not see was any rally bananas in the monkey exhibit.
I like turtles. These are the giraffes. Oh, this guy's kind of mad right now. It's a giraffe exhibit here at the Omaha Zoo. Look at him.
How's it going, man? Dude, that dude ain't moved in 10 minutes. He looks depressed.
You'll see the lions.
Yeah, we gonna go to the lions.
We're here on this beautiful Thursday at the Omaha Zoo. This is Blake Smith with Mississippi State Baseball. I'm here with JP France, right-handed pitcher from Louisiana. We've been at the zoo here for about an hour, JP. What all have we seen today?
Oh, man, we saw some monkeys, saw some lions, some elephants, some rhinos, really weird-looking birds I've never seen in my life. I'm really looking forward to the alligators because they're going to take me back home. Really want to see the Gators.
What, a Gator from Louisiana Gator?
Oh, Louisiana Gator. Oh, yeah.
But you need to call them back.
I'm definitely going in the petting zoo.
We're sitting here in the Jurassic Park Jeep. Tell me, JP, have you ever driven a stick shift before?
I have never driven a stick shift, but I don't think this one will quite work. The shifter's
Seems like the clutch has been stripped.
a little bit.
We just saw this line over here to our right eating what seemed to be an Omaha steak, since we are in fact, in Omaha. Would make a lot of sense. What else we got to see today? What you want to see before we leave other than the alligators?
I want to go in that big dome-looking thing.
That's where the alligators are.
That's where the alligators are. Some cheetahs. We really want to see some cheetahs.
Cheetahs for sure. I'm more of a tiger cheetah guy than the alligator guy. I've seen a lot of alligators in my life. I kind of want to see a cheetah or a zebra, or they don't have zebras. I haven't seen a zebra yet. So my favorite thing of the day probably would be the giraffes were cool, and this lion that keeps staring at me, thinking if this fence wasn't here, I would absolutely rip your head off type thing. How about you say we put this thing in gear and go see the cheetahs? And that's the Omaha Zoo, Hill State.
Two games are scheduled for today. It's the semifinals. We will see Mississippi State take on Oregon State in the first game at 3 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. We will then see Florida take on Arkansas at 8 o'clock Eastern time, also on ESPN. Mississippi State and Arkansas are undefeated. That means they're one win away from the finals. Oregon State and Florida, they're going to have to win 2 to get to the finals. Let's talk about Mississippi State and Oregon State first. With the amount of runs that Mississippi State has been putting up, as well as Oregon State, really Oregon State, 31 runs combined in the last 3 games, how important is pitching going to be for Mississippi State in this game?
Yeah, I think it's huge for both teams. We've seen just how powerful this Oregon State offense is. They can beat you in a lot of different ways. That's what's so scary about them. They can beat you with speed, they can bunt, they can also hit the ball out of the ballpark. We see the power that Trevor Larnach has. Adley Rutschman, just the World Series that he has, it's been incredible what he's done, and he's a guy who could be the first overall pick next year potentially. He's certainly in the discussion for it. So they're a really deadly offense, and a team that even if you shut them down for the first 5 or 6 innings, we've seen that they could flip that switch and turn it on late in the game. So pitching is going to be extremely important for both teams really, because we've seen what Mississippi State has done too, and of course they have the power of the banana at their side as well, which you never know when that's gonna infect the game.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at Oregon State's offense, obviously it's very impressive, but Jacob Billingsley, who's going to start tonight for Mississippi State, I mean, he's a guy, he's a senior, he's very experienced, he knows what it's going to take tonight, but it's going to take more than just him, because that's the thing about this Oregon State offense. Maybe you shut them down for 6-7 innings, but if you give them anything in the last few innings even, they'll find a way to exploit it. So the whole Mississippi State pitching staff is going to have to be ready to go tonight.
All right, who do you both have and why? I will get the hats and we'll make our picks.
So I'm going to go with Mississippi State here tonight.
I'll give you the hat to put on.
The Bulldogs, they just feel like a team of destiny right now. Mike mentioned the power of the bananas, and maybe it's the power of the bananas, maybe it's Jake Mango, maybe it's the pitching. I don't know, but
Bananas, Teddy.
something is
rally
working.
bananas.
And if the bananas keep rolling tonight, then the Bulldogs really have a whole team here that I think really believes in themselves and what they've done over the last few weeks, fighting through elimination game after elimination game. This
5 elimination games to get here.
And this isn't one tonight, but it kind of it'll have that same feel for them, and they're going to be very comfortable playing that kind of game against this kind of opponent, I think.
Who do you have and why?
Yeah, I'm going to go Mississippi State.
Okay.
I think I look at Oregon State at this point. What concerns me is just their pitching. Their starting pitching-wise, they haven't gotten length out of any of their starters to this point. I'm assuming they're probably going to go with Bryce Femmel tonight, or at least we'll see him at some point tonight. And he's a guy who, he can't throw it down the middle. He has to be really fine with his command and fine with his control. And he struggled in his first start here. And I think with the way the ball is carrying in this ballpark, especially of late, I mean, we're seeing balls fly out, which is unusual here.
There's been a lot of home runs here.
Yeah, it's been very unusual. So for me, I like Mississippi State, and they just have that it factor right now. Whether it's the bananas, whether it's just the the swagger that they have on this team, they just have that it factor. And so I think the Bulldogs are going to win tonight.
Arkansas taking on Florida in the nightcap tonight at 8 o'clock. Let's talk about that matchup. Arkansas is straight up scary 1 through 9. You can get anything from those guys. How does that affect Florida tonight?
Well, I mean, these teams have played 4 times. They're very aware of each other's strengths and weaknesses. But, I mean, that lineup is impressive. When you have a guy like Jax Biggers hitting 9th, I mean, to me, that really speaks to the strength of the lineup. You got Dom Fletcher in there. He really is swinging a hot bat right now. And, I mean, you can't really point to any one guy that you want to take away. The whole team can beat you, and that's a huge advantage for the Razorbacks when you try and pitch to them, because there's no easy out in that lineup. There's no batter where you can say, well, maybe we can ease off and just spot a fastball and it'll be okay. They really have to bear down 1 through 9, like you said, and it just makes it a tough pitching matchup for whoever they're facing.
For me, I think this game tonight is going to come down to really Brady Singer and what Brady Singer Florida's going to get. We saw him struggle against Texas Tech the other night, wasn't able to put those hitters away. This Arkansas offense, if it's possible, and Texas Tech is very good, but this Arkansas offense is a little better, a little deeper, and he has to be better than he was the other night, simply put, and they need length out of him, especially you mentioned they used 6 pitchers last night. They need 6 or 7 innings at the very least, and he's done it before. Brady Singer is, he has a championship ring for a reason, because he's very good, and he's our National Player of the Year at Baseball America. So he could certainly step up to the plate here tonight, or at least on the mound. I guess he's not going to be hitting tonight, but at the same time, for me, I mean, Arkansas, with how they played so far, I mean, they have to be the favorite.
Yeah, we saw Brady Singer go 6 1/3 in Game 4 against Texas Tech. Gave up 9 hits, 5 runs. We'll see Isaiah Campbell tonight from Arkansas. What does he bring to the pitching staff for the Razorbacks?
Isaiah Campbell's a guy that is really talented. He has a lot of skill. He has a really powerful fastball. The stuff is just really impressive. But what he hasn't been this season is particularly consistent. There's been, he's had some injury trouble over the last couple of years. He has not gone very deep into games all that often. So I think that he has the ability to really shut down a lineup like Florida's, but they really got to him in Gainesville. It's a tough matchup with their lineup as well. So I think if they can just get 5 out of him, they'd be pretty enthusiastic about that. And he can give them that, but it's a bit of a wild card. It could be really good, but it also could be a situation where Arkansas goes to the bullpen pretty quickly.
Okay.
And they're going to be rested too, because they haven't been too stressed so far in this College World Series. So that's another thing that gives Arkansas an advantage here is, they've had a little time and they can line up their pitching a little bit better than Florida can at this point.
All right, picks and why. Who do we have, Arkansas or Florida, and why? Grab the hats.
Well, I'm going to go with Florida. Brady Singer, it's too much for me to pick against Brady Singer. He is the player of the year for a reason. He's a bull gator on the mound. He's going to go out there. He knows this is his last start in college. If things don't go well, that would weigh on him a lot. So he's going to go out there very motivated, and a motivated Brady Singer is an outstanding Brady Singer. He pitches with so much passion, and I think tonight it's just going to be too much for Arkansas.
For me, Arkansas has looked like the best team here in both of the games that they played. They've been dominant. I'm really impressed with the Razorbacks. You talk about the depth in their lineup 1 through 9. Isaiah Campbell, whether he gives them length or not, I like that their bullpen is rested. For me, I just think the Razorbacks, there's really no talent gap there. Both teams are very, very good. So I'm going to go with the more rested team. I'm going to go with Arkansas.
Fresh legs to win tonight.
Let's do it. I did not put this hat on well.
Michael, Teddy, thanks for joining us today. We appreciate you being on our show. Thanks for tuning in. If you are watching, keep it locked on NCAA CWS for game updates as well as weather updates. Both games tonight and today are on ESPN, so you got a full day of some awesome baseball. Just stay on the couch for the whole thing.